We're diving deep into the astonishing history, shocking mint mistake, and jaw-dropping value of the 1965-era Washington quarter dollar. Stick around because by the end of this video, you might just be checking your coin jar with a brand new obsession. That's right, a 25-cent piece accidentally made with the wrong metal, hidden in plain sight, is now one of the most valuable US coins ever found in circulation. To truly understand why this 1965-era quarter is so rare, we need to rewind to a pivotal moment in US minting history. The Washington quarter, first minted in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday, was traditionally struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. These quarters carried real intrinsic value until rising silver prices in the early 1960s created a serious problem. By 1964, the value of silver was climbing dangerously close to the face value of the coins, and the US Mint feared hoarding would drain the nation's coin supply. The solution? Remove silver from circulating coins. The most valuable and errors 1965 Washington quarter dollar, silver planchet error wrong planchet, circulated, $3,000 to $7,000 plus. Uncirculated, $10,000 to $16,000 plus. Highest auction, over $12,000 at Heritage Auctions. Double die obverse, DDO. Minor DDO, $75 to $250. Major DDO, sharper doubling $500 to $1,500 plus. Clipped planchet error. Small clip, $30 to $100. Large or multiple clips, $150 to $400. Off-center strike. 5% to 10% off, $50 to $100, 50% or more off with full date, $300 to $700 plus. Wrong planchet error, common foreign planchets, $500 to $2,000. Rare compositions, up to $5,000 plus. How you can potentially turn a 1965 Washington quarter into a fortune. Search for the rare 1965 silver quarter. In 1965, the US Mint switched from 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition for quarters. However, a few 1965 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964. These are transitional errors and extremely rare. Weight test, silver quarter, 6.25 grams. Clad quarter, 5.67 grams. Use a precise scale to weigh your coin. Sound test, tap it gently with another coin. Silver has a higher pitched, ringing sound. Edge check, a clad coin has a copper-colored edge. A silver coin's edge is all silver with no copper strip. Value, confirmed silver 1965 quarters have sold for $7,000 to over $16,000 at auction. Look for major error coins. Collectors pay top dollar for mint errors. Look for double dies, especially on In God We Trust or Liberty. Off-center strikes. Broad strikes. Wrong planchet errors, e.g. quarter struck on a dime or foreign coin planchet. Clipped planchets. Missing clad layer. Examples, a 1965 quarter struck on a dime planchet, $5,000 plus. Major off-center errors, $200 to $1,500. Double die obverse, very rare for 1965 varies $500 to $2,000 plus. Get it certified. If you suspect you have a rare or error coin, submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service. NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. A certified and graded coin fetches far higher value on the market. Check recent sales. Look up recent eBay or auction sales of 1965 era quarters. Use this to gauge value before selling. Examples, eBay, sold listings, filter. Heritage Auctions. Gray Collections. How to identify the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. So how can you tell if your 1965 quarter is worth $400,000? Here are the key identifiers. Weight. A regular 1965 clad quarter weighs 5.6.
Imagine finding a small, worn 1981 Washington quarter in your pocket change and discovering it's worth not just a few cents, but up to $232,000. Sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the world of the 1981 P-era Washington quarter, a coin so rare, mysterious and valuable that collectors are shelling out six figures to get their hands on it. Yes, you heard that right. $99,750s, $125,000, even $232,000 for a single coin. And the best part? One of these could be hiding in your change jar, your drawer, or even a forgotten coin roll from the bank. Stay with us to the very end, because you'll learn what to look for, why these quarters are so incredibly valuable, and how you could potentially strike gold, right in your own home. Setting the stage. The year 1981. The year was 1981, a transitional moment in US minting history. Ronald Reagan had just become president, MTV launched its first broadcast, and inflation was raging across the US economy. Meanwhile, at the Philadelphia Mint, production was full speed ahead. Over 600 million Washington quarters were struck with the P mint mark that year, meaning at first glance, the 1981 P quarter doesn't seem rare at all. Despite the enormous number of coins produced, a tiny fraction of them emerged with bizarre and shocking minting errors, accidents that slipped past quality control and ended up being worth a fortune to collectors today. These weren't ordinary flaws. We're talking about off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, struck on the wrong metal, and even transition errors that make these coins ultra-rare and borderline legendary in the world of numismatics. The anatomy of the Washington quarter. Before we dive into the error details, let's quickly look at what a normal 1981 P quarter should look like. The familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. The heraldic eagle, wings spread, clutching arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness. Composition, a clad blend of copper and nickel, cupro nickel, weighing 5.67 grams. Now, if everything looks normal, the coin's worth, well, 25 cents, maybe a few bucks in mint condition. But if something's off, especially drastically off, it could launch that humble quarter into the six-figure stratosphere. The rare errors of the 1981 P quarter. Let's now explore the most valuable and elusive errors that have turned ordinary-looking coins into legendary collectibles. Double denomination error, worth up to $232,000. A quarter struck on top of a struck dime. Yes, this actually happens, and it's one of the rarest and most shocking errors in US coinage. Known as a double denomination error, these freak coins occur when a struck dime planchet accidentally re-enters the striking chamber and gets struck again, this time with the quarter die. In 1981 at the Philadelphia Mint, a handful of these astonishing coins escaped into circulation. Today, one was authenticated by NGC and later sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $232,000. What to look for? Visible traces of the dime's design underneath the quarters, misaligned edges, and a strange overall appearance. Weighs less than a typical quarter, closer to a dime's 2.3 jams. May show both dates, 1981 for the quarter and a different year for the dime beneath. Estimated value, $175,000 US to $232,000, depending on clarity and grading. A quarter struck on top of a struck dime. Double die obverse, hidden in plain sight while not yet officially listed in major catalogues for 1981 P quarters. There are a few known examples showing heavy doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Doubling is the result of a misalignment in the die hubbing process, and collectors go crazy for strong examples, especially with clear separation in letters. Value, $5,000 to $15,000, but could jump higher with more authenticated finds. Clipped planchet, crescent moon error. Another eye-catching error is the clipped planchet, where a chunk of the coin is missing, leaving a curved, crescent-shaped cut. While common on pennies, clipped quarters, especially with full dates, are rarer and more desirable. High-grade, 1981 P clipped planchets can go for $2,000 to $10,000. The auction block, real sales that shocked the coin world. Let's look at some real auction results that stunned even seasoned collectors. Heritage Auctions, 2022. A 1981 P quarter struck on a foreign bronze planchet, 4.3 grams, sold for $99,750. Stax Bowers, 2023. A double denomination 1981 P struck over a dime-graded MS64 by PCGS went for $232,000. A record for the year. Great Collections, 2024, an MS67 off-center 1981 P with a perfect visible date, sold for $41,250. These aren't hypothetical prices. These are real money, paid by real collectors who know just how special these rare errors are. How do these errors even happen? You might be wondering, how can a mint that strikes billions of coins make such obvious mistakes? Well, here's the truth. In 1981, the mint's equipment was aging, and quality control wasn't fully automated. Planchet feed errors, die wear, and misalignments were more frequent than you'd think. The Philadelphia Mint was producing hundreds of millions of coins a month, and amidst the noise, vibration, and speed of production, mistakes slipped through. Could you own one? Now the big question.
Before you toss that pocket change in the jar or hand it over at the store, you need to hear this. That simple-looking 1992 Washington quarter could secretly be worth a jaw-dropping $99,450 to $155,750. Or even up to $475,000. Yes, you heard right. A rare, hidden error from over 30 years ago is turning ordinary coins into a fortune for lucky collectors. This isn't just coin talk, it's real cash, real collectors, and real treasures hiding in plain sight. So what makes this quarter so special? How can you find one? And most importantly, what clues should you look for that could mean you're holding nearly $500,000 in your hand? Movie cameras, stay tuned until the very end, because we'll show real sales, collector secrets, and how even a single detail, barely visible to the naked eye, could change your life. Let's dive into the incredible story, stunning value, and rare error that made the 1992 Washington quarter one of the most hunted coins in U.S. history. The Washington quarter has been in production since 1932, commemorating the 200th birthday of George Washington. Over the decades, the coin underwent several changes, in metal composition, design details, and minting technology. In 1992, the Denver Mint produced millions of quarters with the D Mint mark, as part of standard circulation. But something unexpected happened that year. A small batch of these quarters was struck using a proof reverse die from the San Francisco Mint, meant only for special collector sets. This mix-up, though incredibly rare, resulted in what's now called the 1992 close AM transitional error quarter, and collectors go wild for it. Why? Because proof reverse dies had a unique spacing in the AM of America. The two letters are very close together, almost touching. But regular business strike quarters had a wider gap. If you find a 1992 quarter with this close AM feature, you're looking at an accidental mint error that never should have reached circulation. This is a transitional design error, caused when the U.S. Mint accidentally used a proof die on business strike planchets. These rare occurrences are not just historic, they're extremely valuable because of their scarcity, uniqueness, and high demand among advanced collectors.